Hello, Rebel Radio speaking. If you rely on Stuff or the New Zealand Herald to get your news, you'll have no idea of what's happening in Parliament at the moment. There is an act being pushed through at an incredible rate. It's called the National Animal Identification and Tracing Amendment Bill. MPs have complained of the lack of information about this bill. It's almost like a Nancy Pelosi moment when she told US congressmen to sign a bill before they'd even read it or seen it. The same thing's happening here. Now, the bill will allow the state, the government, to enter any, and I repeat, any private property and remove whatever private property that you own and that they want. I'll let that sink in for a moment. If we think of our New Zealand Bill of Rights, we have the right to be secure against unreasonable search or seizure. Well, that's now out the door. This bill is for unwarranted searches. So the police, if they need to come into your home, or they want to come into your home to search, they have to apply to a court and have a very good reason to do it. But not the government. The government can march straight in with or without your knowledge. And then they can seize whatever they want. They can go through everything and take it away, with or without your knowledge. We are no longer a socialist state. We've just taken a huge step towards total fascism, communism. I mean, they're both the same thing. There's not a hell of a lot difference. The government is in control of everything. I bring before you now the most shameful act in Parliament of the entire history of New Zealand.
But these are the most intrusive powers that Parliament can grant. And what we're talking about in this legislation is giving NATE officers the right without warrant and without cause. And I want to repeat that because that's really important. Without any warrant, but also without cause, the right to go onto any property and seize any goods, any assets, any papers, anything they like, if they think it would be useful.
Because I believe the farmers I represent are not going to take it too lightly that somehow somebody can wander into their house, their wool shed, their stockyards or their dairy shed and seize and search a whole lot of material without their knowledge.
This is a warrantless power to go onto any farm without cause, as of right, and seize any goods that they think they would like to take.
But what we've got now is a situation where the NATE inspectors are able to access the farm. They've got the ability to get onto the farm, but once they've got onto the farm, they're unable to actually take the actions that they might need to do, whether that copy some documents, take some video.
But these powers last beyond M. bovis, and these powers are not limited to biosecurity intrusions. They're not even limited to NATE purposes, because our officers that will go in will hold a number of different regulatory hats, and once they're on the property, without cause, without warrant, they can seize anything they like under any of those regulatory hats.
National has spent a long time discussing it, but after a difficult discussion, National has agreed to vote for this legislation and support it. And being a loyal member of the National Caucus, I have no intention of crossing the floor over this issue, but I'm close.
My thanks to the to the Honourable Minister for his leadership in this case. There are 4 words that stands out for me in this policy statement, and the words are food safety and quality assurance, and that's the leadership that this minister is leading. I commend this bill to the House. Mahalo.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
National Animal Identification and Tracing Amendment Bill, second reading.
The National Animal Identification and Tracing Amendment Bill is set down for committee stage forthwith.
The issue that's really concerned us has been the issue of amendments to warrantless search powers. The position that we find ourselves in with the bill coming up at very short notice, being passed at incredibly short notice.
Why the urgency? Why the urgency? We're bereft of information.
Why a week, 2 weeks at this stage of what is a response that is already many, many months old and has many, many months to run, 12 months, my colleague Nathan Guy tells me. I cannot understand for 1 minute why the government can't take a week or so when it is granting the most intrusive powers of the state to an agency of government.
The Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, I move that urgency be accorded the passing through all stages of the National Animal Identification and Tracing Amendment Bill, the committee stage and third reading of the Statutes Amendment Bill No. 2, and the second and third readings of the Tariff PACER Plus Amendment Bill. Mr Speaker, the urgency motion covers 3 bills that have, I understand, support across the House and that all have reasons to be enacted in the current sitting block that are sufficiently strong to warrant the claim for urgency.
These powers last beyond M. bovis, and these powers are not limited to biosecurity intrusions. They're not even limited to NAIT purposes, because our officers that will go in will hold a number of different regulatory hats, and once they're on the property, without cause, without warrant, they can seize anything they like under any of those regulatory hats.